aim to enhance transparency, accountability, budget tracking, judicious utilization of resources, as well as effective budget implementation. Now, in Nigeria, one of the most significant reforms introduced to strengthen public financial management is the National Chart of Account. It's not the only one, but it is one of those items that came on board through the public financial management reform. And it is meant to help in terms of accounting for public sector transactions, classifying, recording, reporting government financial transactions across all ministries, departments, and agencies in the 3 tiers of government: the federal, the states, and the local government. And so therefore, the adoption of the National Chart of Account has transformed the way government budgets are prepared, the way government budgets are implemented, are tracked, are monitored, the way auditing of government expenses is carried out, in order to ensure that there is enhanced judicious utilization of the meager resources at the disposal of the government with a view to improving the living conditions of the citizenry. So what is public financial management? Because I said the National Chart of Account is a component of the public financial management reform. So for us, when you look at public financial management, it is a system that comprises all the laws. It comprises all the laws, the systems, the institutions, policies, and processes that government use to mobilize, to allocate, to spend, to account for, and to report public resources in such a way that there will be value for money, efficiency, effectiveness, as well as economy in terms of utilization of public financial resources. So public financial management, when you look at this conceptual understanding, it entails that public financial management is broader than budgeting or accounting, because it is looking at the entire financial management cycle, from expenditure, from revenue collection, budget preparation, to expenditure, accounting, reporting, auditing, as well as the legislative oversight by the legislative arm of the government. So this National Chart of Account is a standardized framework that enables these activities to be integrated as well as consistently managed. And it has a number of objectives, which we'll see the objectives, the components. I think we'll see the objectives later. We'll see the components of the public financial management. You can see revenue mobilization, budget planning, budget preparation, budget approval, execution, and reporting. And the National Chart of Account has linked them all together. When you mobilize the revenue to be mobilized need to be coded under the respective charts of account. And then the budgeting will carry the same coding, the preparation, the approval, it will go with the same coding up to the stage where the transaction will be audited. So public financial management reform in Nigeria over the last 2 decades, Nigeria has implemented public financial management reforms, which aims at strengthening the way public resources are mobilized, resources are allocated, resources are used in order to improve the lives of the citizenry. And the key reform initiative or the components of these reforms are the International Public Sector Accounting Standards, which Professor Amin Issa has made a presentation to us on. The second one is the Treasury's single account. The third one is the GIBMIS, Government Integrated Financial Management Information System. The fourth one is the National Chart of Accounts, whereas the fifth one is responsibility reforms. So what are the expected outcomes of this reform? Why did the government thought of reforming the public financial management system. The expectation is that if the public financial management system is reformed and effectively implemented, there will be improvement in terms of budget credibility, better expenditure control, because you can track a transaction from the beginning of the process to the end. It will enhance financial reporting, even in terms of the quality of the information. You look at administrative segment, you look at economic segment, you look at fund segment, you even look at geographical spread of projects by looking at geographical segment. This is a kind of spatial accountability or geographical accountability. Governance is supposed to promote inclusiveness, fairness in terms of allocation of developmental projects. So you can see the spread in different senatorial districts in Katsina State, in different local governments, among all the 34 local governments in the state. It will increase transparency and stronger public accountability. And this reform matters for Katsina State because Katsina State also aims to improve the lives of the citizenry through ensuring judicious utilization, optimum revenue mobilization, effective accounting and treasury system in such a way that the lives of the citizenry can be improved. Now, before Nigeria adopted this reform, the accounts used to be coded, but the only difference between after the adoption of the National Chart of Accounts is standardization in the coding, standardization among ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as across the 3 tiers of government. Now, also uniformity in terms of reporting by ministries, departments, and agencies, improve accountability, easier consolidation of this information together, and better data analytics. It helps in terms of analyzing data, especially in this era of data analytics, as well as using artificial intelligence in order to analyze data. So you can see the National Chart of Accounts is at the center, and it links many things together. Policy priorities, budget preparation, budget implementation, so that we can look at accountability from multidimensional perspective. We look at administrative accountability, we look at fund accountability, we look at program accountability, as well as other types of accountability. Why is the National Chart of Accounts matters? Because it has enormous objectives. And the relevance of National Chart of Accounts, like I said, is not only for accounting, it is for preparing budget, for recording financial transactions, for controlling expenditure, for producing IFSA's compliance financial statement, and for budget implementation consistency, budget tracking across ministries, departments, and agencies. Okay, I think we have seen something similar to this, so we may not need to waste time. So we are now going to look at what National Chart of Accounts entails. What is this National Chart of Accounts? A chart of accounts is a standardized coding and classification framework. A chart of accounts is a standardized, uniform coding. You allocate numbers to different transactions based on the segment. For example, if you are looking at the economic segment, you look at the first item, you can look at the revenue, and you look at different types of revenue, and each under the different type, if there are subtypes, you code them, give them number. The number will be standard, will be unique and uniform across all ministries, departments, and agencies in the state. You start from the budgeting up to the approval of the budget. The same thing when you are implementing, when you are tracking, you know what you are tracking. Because it has a unique, different number, different from all other items that are in the financial statement. And this enables government to plan, to budget, to record, to classify, to control, and to report all public financial transactions in consistent as well as comprehensive and all-encompassing manner. You can be able to look at expenses of government from administrative, which ministry, which department, agency was responsible for such expenditure, what is called administrative segment. You can look at it from an economic perspective, whether it is a revenue, whether it is an expenditure, whether it is asset, whether it is liability, you can be able to look at. You can also look at it from geographical spread among the 34 local governments and the 3 senatorial districts, so that you can have an understanding in terms of the fair distribution of social amenities, fair distribution of projects across the states. You can understand areas of priorities where projects are lacking and not provided. You can be able to see, so that in the next budget, you can be able to take care of that gap that you have understand. Under the National Chart of Account, every transaction is classified using multiple dimensions. And this enables managers to analyze spending from different perspectives, not only from economic, whether it is revenue, whether it is expenditure, whether it is asset, whether it is liability, but even in terms of the program and projects of government. Because now we are talking of program-based budgeting, performance-based budgeting. And for you to be able to say that you are aligning budgeting to performance, you need to know the programs, the projects, and the activities on which the fund is expended. You may also need to know the source of the fund. This is fund segment. From where has it come from? Has it come from the Consolidated Revenue Fund? Has it come from whatever? You have to look at the different sources. So the National Chart of Account is not merely an accounting tool. It is a strategic public financial management framework that improves quality of budgeting, accounting, financial reporting, and more importantly, decision making. We know accounting system is an information system. What the accounting system does is to provide information for decision, so that you can take evidence-based decision on the basis of available information. Decision not only by government or stakeholders, donor agencies, members of the public, even you as a ministry, department, agency, you can be able to understand from the information that has been provided. It serves as a common financial language for planning, budgeting, accounting, reporting, and auditing across MDS. Simply put, the National Chart of Account helps stakeholders to understand one. There is one who, one what, one why, two which, and one where. Who is spending the money? The Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health. What is the money spent on? Why is it spending? What is the service that government is providing? Which fund is paying the money? Which program is being financed? Which geographical location is the project being financed? So that you can have multidimensional perspective to accountability. It's not just financial. You are also looking at administrative accountability. You are also looking at the geographical locations where the projects have been implemented. I think we have lost it. Can I use the hard copy? Okay, so it's coming back. Okay. So this is what the National Chart of Account helps us to understand. Who is spending? I say the who is one. The next one, what is the money spent on? What is one? Why is it being spent? Which fund is paying? Which program? You can see you are asking questions that start with which twice. Which fund is paying? Which program is being implemented? And where is the project located? Okay, so you can see that the National Chart of Account is important because it provides a single framework throughout the financial management cycle. A single framework, a single standardized code for all transactions of government. And these transactions are uniform across ministries, departments, and agencies so that there can be comparability. We know one of the essential elements of accounting information is to be able to compare information for the purpose of decision making. And you can see this one in a diagram form. The next one is, what are the objectives? The objectives are enormous. It includes standardization across ministries, departments, and agencies, enhancing transparency by providing more quality information from different perspectives, from different dimensions, enhances accountability, improves the decision making, and also ensures compliance with established regulation. Okay, we have seen these objectives. I see no need to waste time. What are the benefits? The benefits include it facilitates economic analysis and expenditure tracking. It strengthens public financial management, enhances transparency, improves budget monitoring, enables accurate classification, promotes integrated financial management. You can see that there are many. We may not be able to read all, but there are many. In other words, it improves the entire financial management cycle. Each segment you look at, each aspect you look at, you see how it improves. Now, a rider to the earlier presentation, it supports compliance with IFSAS and other financial reporting standards. So you can see, to promote compliance with IFSAS, you need to integrate the National Chart of Account into the public financial management system. What are the key principles of National Chart of Account? To draw the National Chart of Account, it is important to ensure comprehensiveness. The courts should cover every aspect of government expenditure, every aspect of government revenue, every aspect of government asset, liability, finance. In other words, it should cover every aspect of government financial transaction. Again, there must be adequate granularity. It should provide sufficient detail for effective control, for effective tracking, for effective reporting. Mutually exclusive. Every item should be classified once and once only. Once you classify it under this code, it can never fall under another code. That is what is called mutually exclusive. You should avoid redundancy. Don't use codes that may not be useful to you. Look at the peculiarities in your own state, in your own area of responsibility, to make sure that you domesticate the codes to that one. Then ensure internal consistency. The codes needs to be unified, and then scalability. In case transactions of government increase, you should also be able to increase the coding, which is crucial. So what are the key features of the National Chart of Account? The first one is uniformity. It uses a standardized coding structure across different tiers of government, federal, state, and local government, across ministries, departments, and agencies. Then it has to be comprehensive, it has to be integrated, it has to be multidimensional. In other words, these should be done from different perspectives. Then it has to be flexible. Then technology enabled. Technology is crucial when we do the National Chart of Account, because it helps us in terms of even the generation of the code in a systematic order. So what are the key features? Why these features matter? Okay, this is an illustration. For example, an expenditure on constructing a primary health center can be analyzed simultaneously by MDA, which is the MDA, for example, Ministry of Health, by economic classification, from economic perspective, what is it? It is a capital expenditure. From function, which service is government providing health? Funding source, you identify the source of the funding. Program, you identified location, you also identify the location, for example, Kurfi LGA. Now the benefit is that unlike older accounting systems that focus mainly on expenditure heads, the National Chart of Account allows managers to analyze a single transaction, but from different perspectives, so that you can look at it from administrative angle, from economic angle, from program, from fund, from geographical location, as well as from economic angle. Now, what is the architecture of the National Chart of Account? Now, the strength of the National Chart of Account lies in its multidimensional framework. Administrative segment. This segment asks the question or answer the question, who is responsible for the transaction? Who, which ministry, department, or agency is responsible for the transaction? The economic segment answer the question, what type of transaction is it? Is it revenue? If revenue, what type of revenue? Expenditure, what type of expenditure? Asset, what type of asset? Liability, what type of liability? Or functional? Why is the money being spent? What service is the government providing? Health, education, social welfare. Which fund is providing the money? Is it coming from the Consolidated Revenue Fund? Is it coming from the development? From where is this money coming? Then from program, which program or project is being implemented? And geographic, where is the activity taking place? Every government transaction is supposed to be classified under these 6 segments, providing a robust, all-encompassing, complete picture and complete perspectives of the transaction so that you can understand the same transaction but from 6 different angles. You can see that the decision you will take will be richer, will be better than when you only look at one segment. Now, for example, assuming there's construction of a primary health care in Funtua LGA. Now, the same primary health care, we look at it from different angles. Administrative segment, we say Ministry of Health. What type of expenditure is it? Economic, capital expenditure. What function, what service is government providing? Health services. Which fund is financing it? Capital Development Fund. What is the program? Rural Healthcare Expansion. And where is the place? The place is Funtua local government. One transaction, 6 perspectives. One integrated financial management system. So you can see how it moves. Okay, I think we can just move to the next one. Every financial transaction recorded by the government must answer these 6 fundamental questions. Who is responsible? What is the transaction? What is the expenditure being made? Which program or project does it support? Which fund is financing it? And where is the project implemented? Okay, so let us now examine these segments one by one. We will start with the administrative segment. Okay, we will start with the first one, administrative segment. Segment number 1. The administrative segment identifies the organization responsible for planning, implementing, controlling, and reporting a government financial transaction. Here, responsibility accounting begins. You can easily identify the organization that is responsible for such expenditure. And therefore, you get what is called administrative accountability by identifying the ministry, the department, or the agency that is charged with that responsibility. It answers the first and perhaps the most fundamental question: who is responsible for the transaction? Every revenue collected and every expenditure incurred must be linked to a responsible MDA. Ministry, department, or agency. Accountability begins with identifying who is responsible for such expenditure, whether it's the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, or other departments and agencies of government. Without administrative classification, it will be difficult to monitor performance management. It will be difficult to assign responsibilities, and it will be difficult to evaluate budget execution. And that is the reason why this administrative segment usually comes as the first segment. Now, why administrative classification matters? It matters because it enables government to assign responsibility for budget implementation, to monitor expenditure by MDA, to compare performance across MDS, to strengthen managerial accountability, and facilitate internal and external audit. I think we have given that example. We may not need to waste time because the slides are many. I may need to just rush them a little bit. So we are going to the next segment, which is the economic classification. What type of transaction is it? This is what this economic classification tries to answer. The economic segment classifies financial transactions according to their economic nature. It answers the question, what exactly is this transaction? Is it revenue? Is it expenditure? Is it asset, liability, or what? Why does it matter? This classification matters because it distinguishes recurrent from capital expenditure. It prefers IFSA's compliant financial statement. It monitors expenditure trends. It analyzes fiscal sustainability, and it improves expenditure control. Now, the major classification under this segment are: 1, revenue. For example, it can be allocation from PAC, it can be value-added tax, contribution that the state has received, it can be payee, it can be IGR, it can be grants. Recurrent expenditure, for example, can be personnel cost, overhead costs, capital expenditure, roads, asset, cash, building, liabilities, loans, contract, financing, borrowing, debts, or payments. Now, this is an example. I think we have given this example before, so we may not need to waste time on this. I think we can just move to the next one. The next segment is the functional classification. The functional segment classifies government expenditure according to the purpose or objective for which the expenditure is incurred. What is the purpose or the objective of incurring the expenditure? That is what this segment tries to answer. Unlike the administrative segment that looks at the MDA, that is saddled with the responsibility of such transaction, the functional segment identifies the public service that is being delivered. The public service that is being delivered. Now, it answers the question, why is this expenditure being incurred? Example, construction and equipping a primary health care at Kurpi LGA. Administrative segment will look at the Ministry of Health. Functional segment will look at what? Health services. However, regardless of whether this construction was done by the Ministry of Health or it was done by the Ministry of Works, it is still seen as health services. Ministry of Works can construct the health center. The Ministry of Health can construct the health center. Here you don't link it up to the ministry. You look at the service that government is providing. Health, whether it is Ministry of Works that constructed the health center or it is the Ministry of Health that constructed the health center. So you can see that this tries to give us another perspective of looking at the same activity. You may wonder, why am I consistently using the same example? I am using consistently the same example or similar example so that we can see this same thing from different perspectives. We want to be seeing the same thing but from different perspectives, because multidimensionality is something useful on its own. It gives you basis to assess accountability, to assess ability of government to use funds, but from different perspectives. You may be satisfied here. In other angle, there may be deficiency. When you look at it, you try to see how you can take care of that so that there can be no recurrence. Now, the functional classification is based on the classification of the function of government. COFOG means classification of function of government by the United Nations. This is what is followed in the functional classification. United Nations has developed a classification of the functions of government: administrative, functional, major service, and the rest of them. So we move to the fourth one. The fourth one is fund classification. Here, this segment tries to identify the source of the financing for every government transaction. What is the source of the money? From which fund is it coming from? This is what it tries to answer. It answers where does the money come from, or which fund finances the transaction. Different government activities are financed by different funds, and this enhances transparency, accountability, and compliance with legal, sometimes donor requirements if the money has been given by donor agencies. The fund segment ensures that each expenditure is charged to the correct source of financing. It is supposed to go to consolidated revenue fund. It is supposed to go to development fund. You should be a donor fund, should be able to understand the source. Suppose Katsina State construct primary health care center. The project may be financed from capital development fund or from basic health care provision fund, whichever is applicable. Then, or from development partner support. The fund segment records which source actually financed the project. This will give you what is called fund accountability. It supports accountability for fund utilization. It supports accountability to donor agencies. It monitors restricted funds and also enhances cash management as well as financial transparency. The common funds: Consolidated Revenue Fund, Capital Development Fund, Social Intervention Fund, and the rest of them. So we are moving to the fifth one, program classification. The program segment links financial resources to government programs, projects, and activities. It answers the question, which program or project is this expenditure supporting or financing? Especially when we try to look at performance-based budgeting that are tailored toward projects, programs, and activities of government. Projects, programs, and activities should not be white elephant projects that do not contribute in terms of improving lives of the citizenry, because governance is about improving lives of the citizens. And funds is crucial, is a life wire, and must be judiciously utilized in order to improve the lives of the citizenry. This segment is fundamental to program-based budgeting and result-based budgeting. So it's strengthened. We can look at it, for example, when you look at the program, strengthening primary health care, sub-program, expansion of rural health services, project, construction of primary health care in Kurfi LGA, activity, construction, equipping, and commissioning. You can see the series of the things that need to be made in order to ensure that the lives of the citizenry is improved. The sixth one that we're seeing is the geographic classification. This identifies the physical location. Projects should not be concentrated in one area. They should be spread across the state. Areas that are needed, different geographical locations, that is for local government, so that you can have an idea. How is government spending its money? So that you can have an idea about spread of social amenities across various locations and localities. It gives what is called spatial accountability, or what we call geographic accountability. Because you can see how projects are spread. Projects should not be concentrated, because each location needs project. You need to prioritize which project they need, and you need to reach them so that you can be able to see. This is good for legislators, so that they will ensure that projects have reached their constituents. They look at what some constituencies have got to. What has my constituency got? If it is not enough, say, oh, no, Your Excellency, this needs to be corrected. So the geographical segment enables government to monitor the distribution of public expenditure across the state and support location-based planning, budgeting, implementation, monitoring, and reporting. For example, in the case of that project we have seen, we now look at the geographic segment can classify transaction at different administrative levels. For example, in Kurpi, the state is Katsina State, the local government is Kurpi local government area, the registration area or ward is Kurpi A, Kurpi B, and other, you can see them, and then the community project cited specific school, health facility, road, or community project. You can even understand if the budget is for local government, which ward was the project executed. This is very important. You see registration area, you see what, so that you can see spread of projects across the state. Now this is an example. For example, when we look at this, the map of Katsina State, we can easily identify where is that primary health care. It is in Kurpi local government. And you can see there, this is what is called spatial accountability. It is telling stakeholders where the project is located. Where the project is located. Okay, now we are now going to look at segment by segment classification of the same project. It is primary health care. By administrative segment, we can say that this project, if it was executed by the state government, it was executed by the Ministry of Health. From economic segment, we look at the nature of the expenditure, the nature of the transaction. It is capital expenditure, which is construction of building. From functional, what service is government providing? Government is providing health services. From program, what is the program? Strengthening primary health care. Which fund? You have to look at the fund, Consolidated Revenue Fund or other approved fund. Geographical location, where is the project located? It is located in Katsina Central and in Kurpi local government. Others will say, where are our own projects? Because you also need to deliver to them. So you can see spatial accountability or geographical accountability. The geographic segment enables the government to monitor distribution of projects across the 34 local government areas. Determine how much is spent in each LGA. In each senatorial district, you can determine how much was spent in each senatorial district, in each LGA. Identify underserved communities so that in the next budget, you include them. Support constituency and legislative oversight. Facilitate project monitoring and evaluation and improve equity resource allocation. Now, we have now seen the theory. We are still coming to the code. And this is where the code will start. And the code will also take it briefly, segment by segment. The National Chart of Account adopts a 52-digit multidimensional coding framework for classifying every government financial transaction. The framework integrates 6 complementary segments, each answering a specific management question. You have seen the question. Who is responsible for the expenditure? Yes, what is the expenditure meant for? Now, the National Chart of Account is not merely a list of account numbers, as some thought. No, it is an integrated classification system that allows one transaction to be viewed simultaneously from different dimensions: administrative, economic, functional, program, funding, and geography. And the code are 52 in total. There are 12 codes for administrative. The administrative, the digits are 12. 1, 2, 3. If you count the numbers, the maximum is 12 numbers. Economic code, the numbers, the digits are 8. It answers what? What is the expenditure meant for? Why is the expenditure the functional? It is 5 digits. Program is 14 digits. Fund is 5 digits. Geography is 8 digits. If you look at here, you will discover that 2 are 8 digits, 2 are 5 digits, 1 is 12 digits. The highest, which is program, is 14 digits. 5 digits are 2. 8 digits are 2. 12 digit is 1. 14 digit is the last one is 14 digits. But the question is, we can see these digits. Why is the digit not uniform? We are coming to see. Now this is a summary. You may need to pardon me. This one I think is not in the slide. It was later that I put this summary. So maybe when you get, because I believe you need to get a summary of how the digits are. So you can see how the digits are. When we say the administrative segment is 12 digits, you can see the 12 digits. You have to look at the sector, will carry 2 digits. The organization will carry 2 digits. Sub-organization carries 3 digits. Sub-organization carries 3 digits. How do you get 12? 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3. That will give us what? 10. I think there's one, okay, that is not here. It's supposed to be 12. Now, okay, the next, okay, we have the next one. Sub. You can see it. Organization, 2 digits. So it's supposed to be 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2. That will give you 12 digits. For economic segment, the digits are 8. And their breakdown is as follows. Account type, 1 digit. Sub-account type, 1 digit. Account class, 2 digits. Sub-class, 2 digits. Economic code, line item, 2 digits. So if you add it, 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 will give you 8. The functional classification is 5 digits. And what is the breakdown of the digits? Main function or division, 3 digits. Function or group, 1 digit. Secondary function or classes, 1 digit. To get 5, 3 plus 1 will give you 5. That's how we get it for all. So you can see this is the summary. It gives you the digit under each segment as well as their classification. Now, you may wish to ask why the segments have different digits. Because the transactions, the volume of transactions that you are expected to deal with under each segment is not the same. And that is the reason why these digits are not the same. I told you 5 digits are 2, 8 digits are 2, 1 is 12, the other is 14. So why are they different? Because, for example, administrative has the second to the highest. It has 12 digits because it requires detailed identification of ministries, departments, agencies, and all cost centers. And we know that there are many. And again, units of government, federal, state, and local government may decide to keep on establishing more ministries, departments, and agencies. And the code is 12. For program, you can see this is the longest. It is 14 in number. This is the longest segment because it captures programs, sub-programs, projects, and activities. And again, we are now in era of performance-based budgeting. Budget should be tied to programs, activities, and projects that the government has in place. When government comes into power, it comes with a blueprint, economic blueprint with different projects, programs, and activities. At the end of the day, you should be able to measure how far have those projects performed over the period. Then you have the economic. Oh, here there are not many. It provides sufficient detail for revenue, expenditure, assets, liabilities, and financing. This is 5 in number. Anyone that is revenue will start with 01, expenditure 02, asset 03, liabilities 04, financing 05. Then functional. This is based on the classification of functions of government by the United Nations, functional categories and subcategories. Fund identifies the financing source for each transaction. Geographic support what? Location-based planning, monitoring, reporting, fairness, inclusiveness, when you provide project, you should not concentrate on one area. No, you are a leader. All the entire area under your oversight is your constituency. You have to give them projects, and you have to ensure fairness in terms of the spread of the projects. Okay, how do the segments work together? I think we have seen example. We may not need to waste a lot of time. Okay, even this one we have seen one transaction, but you can look at it from different dimensions. I think it's better we look at example of the coding. Now, what are the practical significance of this? One, integrated coding framework for the entire financial management cycle. We're not only talking of budgeting, we're not talking of reporting, we're not talking of auditing, no. Even for decision. We are looking at different angles. We are looking at the funds. We are looking at the programs, the projects, the activities. Multidimensional, multifaceted. You can look at the same thing from different angles so that you see how you improve, so that you can see how resources can be better utilized, so that you see how resources can be more judiciously spread across various constituencies. Preparation of standardized budgets, accurate recording of transactions, effective budget monitoring and control, production of IFSAS compliant financial statement, performance reporting. This is crucial today in governance. Performance management, performance reporting. Performance is crucial. It's not just about spending money, but how well has it performed? How well has it been able to meet its own target? Every project has targets. Yes, so at the end of the day, you need to measure the actual performance vis-a-vis the target to be able to see gap for remedial action. You get variances and you take decisions on how to remedy them. It also facilitates efficient internal and external audit. The auditor will track each transaction by the code. He will track the transaction by the code to go to the location if he wants to sample, because there he can understand this project is supposed to be in so-so-so senatorial district, in so-so-so local government. So you can see traceability becomes easier to the auditor so that he can easily sample across various locations. So let's look at, for example, the administrative segment. The administrative segment, we say the digits are 12. The first is for sector, and I say there are 5 sectors. Where are the sectors? You can see the sectors at the bottom. Administrative usually is number 01. The digits are 5, so the other number should be up to 5. Economic 02. Administrative, for example, government house fall under administrative. Office of the Auditor General under administration. It is administration under administrative segment. Then economic development and infrastructure, for example, agriculture, finance, works, commerce, is start with 02. The next one, law and justice, legal and judicial service, Ministry of Justice, High Court, start with 03. The next one, regional development and administrative, is 04. Katsina Central, North Daura, and Katsina South, Funtua, senatorial zones. Then the next one, 05, social services and human development, education, health, rural development. So you can see the classification and you can see the items. So you look at the sector, 2 digits for the sector, 01, 02, 03, 04, 05. For organization, 2 digits. You look at the ministry. Each ministry will be coded. Then you look at sub-organization. Then you look at sub-organization. If sub is not there, to be 00. When you are not capturing, sometimes you see the numbers ending with 000, telling you that no, these are not there. But you have to fill it to give you the 12 digit, even with zeros. If you don't have anyone, you keep on putting, and that's how the coding moves. Then you have sub organization, like department, e.g. finance and accounts. Okay, this is just an additional explanation for each of these codes. The 2 is a set of broad government entities performing related functions: admin, economic, law and justice, regional. Organization is MDA. Sub-organization is the child of the organization, which are sub-administrative units within a given foreign organization. e.g., Main Ministry of Finance, Office of Accountant General, Debt Management, Budget Office, State Internal Revenue Service. You can see they are forming the same thing under sub. So that's how they move. Okay, I think it's good we look at example of the codes. For example, administrative. For example, we've seen. I think we can look at this one. This is, for example, under the administrative segment, we say that's what is called administration. For the administration, for example, you start with the government house. You can see 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. You can see when there is no sub, you have to make it to that 12 digits. Now, but when you write it like the one that is written under law and justice all together. Here it is, for example, we decided to compartmentalize so that you can see each component belonging to each subgroup. But usually when you are writing, you can see the one for law and justice. That is how it should be written together. Then under administration of Department of Empowerment and Social Intervention, maybe under the Office of His Excellency, State Bureau of Public Procurement, Department of Intergovernmental and Development Partners, Department of Banking and Finance, for example. Then you take another one, economic sector. You can see the coding will change now. It's now 02. And then you give the organization, the sub-organization, the sub-sub-organization, the sub-sub-sub-organization, and you can see how it moves. The Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Agriculture, you can see Katsina Farmers Supply Company, Katsina State Agricultural and Rural Development. Now, that's how the classification moves. When you finish, you take the next one. Because we say here, the sectors are supposed to be 5 under the administrative. Each one can be generated. Today it's easier to generate these codes. Once you orient the artificial intelligence software, it just generates it for you. Yes, and then you keep on generating continuously as you need, because there may be other transactions that you may not have previously provided for. The next segment is the economic segment. This segment is 8 digits. This look at revenue, expenses, asset, liabilities. Here, the segment is divided into 5 parts. You have sub-account, whether revenue, expenditure, asset, or liability. You have sub-account type. This is further classification for financial reporting. You have account class, broad group of related items. You have sub-account class, then you have the line item. Now, and you can see examples of the items. Usually for revenue, you code revenue with 1, 0, 1, expenditure 0, 2, asset 0, 3, liability 0, 4, and that's how the coding will move. But at the end, you have to get 8 digits for each one of them. Now, as you do this coding for this, you will do coding for all the segments. For example, see revenue classification for Katsina State Radio. You can see the first code, 1 is revenue, 1, 2 is independent revenue, 1, 2, 0, 2 non-tax revenue, 1, 2, 0, 2, 0, 7 earnings general, 1, 2, 0, 2, 0, 7, 1, 1 earnings from commercial activities. The total code at the end should be what? 8. Then you have another one for government printing press. Now this is an example. Another one for Katsina Radio again in terms of the grants. So that's how the coding moves. So then you have the functional segment. You can see the functional segment. And it answers the question, why is government spending the money? What function is government providing? So you can see different functions: health, environment, rural and social development, youth and sports, higher technical and vocational education, and you can see them carrying codes. Then program segment has 14 digits. Which program, project, or activity is being implemented? And you can see the division. For sector will carry 2 codes, objective will carry 2 codes, program will carry 2 codes, for project will carry 6 codes, and then activity under the project will carry 2. So if you add this one, it should give you the total number of 14. And you can see example also in terms of the program, Ministry of Health, State Ministry, Healthcare Agency, drugs and medical supply. You can see they are all falling under Ministry of Health. But you are looking at the program that is being financed, College of Health Sciences. Now, then you look at other segment, fund, who finances the transaction. What is the source of funding? We say this has 5 digits. The main fund is 2 digits, sub-fund 1 digit, source fund 2 digits. So 2 plus 1 plus 2 will give you 5. And you can see example, the code should not be more than 5. And you can see fund description, you can see example, consolidated revenue fund 01000, state funded recurrent and capital expenditure, for example, internally generated fund 02000, fee, direct assessment, fees, licenses 03000, Federation account allocation fund, monthly statutory allocation from the Federation, and the rest of them. The next one is geographic segment. Where does the transaction occur? Where is the project located? Where is the project or service delivered? This code is 8. And you can see it. You have to look at the zone. Which zone? Yes, you have to look at the zone. Whether it is the Daura, it is Funtua, or it is Central. You have to look at the zone. Then you look at the state code. Each state has its code. Then you look at the senatorial district. Then you look at local government area. Then you look at ward or location. And you can see examples here given below. So, having seen this, the next issue is what is the application of the National Chart of Account in budget implementation? The National Chart of Account, as we have seen, is crucial and relevant in the entire financial management system because it is applied throughout the financial management system. It provides a common coding structure that links planning, budgeting, mobilization of revenue, accounting, treasury operations, financial reporting, and audit together. You are tracking the same transaction from different ministries and agencies using the same standardized uniform code. And again, you can look at it from different dimensions: administrative, economic, program, fund, geography, as well as economic classification. So you can see how it moves. It supports the entire budget cycle, the entire financial management, from the beginning to the end. Now, what is the role at the stage of the budget cycle? The budget cycle is a cycle that comprises series of activities in the entire budget process. From budget preparation, it standardizes budget estimate using common classification, common uniform standard coding across ministries, departments, and agencies. In budget approval, it enables legislatures to review allocations by MDS, by function, by program, by fund, and by location. And they can make adjustment when they feel that, look, there is an issue here. Because they can look at it from different dimensions, especially legislators as representatives of the people. Each one will ensure that his location is included adequately in the budget. It's included to benefit in terms of public goods and services. In budget implementation, it ensures that expenditures are charged to the correct administrative or economic or program or fund or geographic code, because every item is coded. No transaction without a code. Each one has a code, and the code is standard and unique that is used across all ministries, departments, and agencies in the entire state. In budget implementation, it ensures expenditures are charged. Okay, in treasury operation, it supports commitment control, payment processing, and cash management. In accounting, it provides a uniform basis for recording financial transactions. In financial reporting, it produces IFSA's compliant financial statement and budget performance report. I said budget performance management today is as crucial, as important in the public sector as it is in the private sector. Because governance is about improving lives of the people. And if projects are not delivering, then we should look at them so that we can fine-tune them to be able to deliver their desired objectives. In audit, it facilitates transaction tracing by the auditors. And what? It strengthens accountability from multidimensional perspectives. Now, we still look at this example. Kurfi LGA example, when the Ministry of Health implements the construction of primary healthcare center in Korfi, the same national chart of account classification is used during the budget preparation, during the release of the funds, the processing of the payment, when the expenditures are recorded in the books, when the budget performance is reported, when auditors review the transaction. This continuity ensures consistency, and it ensures traceability, ability to trace throughout the entire budget cycle. Because the same transaction will carry one code throughout. The accountants will deal with the same code. The auditors will handle the same code. The decision makers, if they are donor agencies, they are also interested in the same thing. The national chart of account is a common financial language that connects every stage of the budget cycle, from planning to auditing. Okay, now effective budget implementations depends on accurate classification and recording. You know, in Nigeria, we've been having problem with budget implementation. It's not enough to do budget. Budget must be implemented. The word must, because budget is a law. Executives can be removed from office when they operate ultra bias to budgets, when they fail to respect budgetary provisions. Because a lot of factors must have been taken into account before the budget comes into life. If you are not implementing budget, lives of the people cannot improve. Budget has to be implemented. So this is an issue. You can see we are transiting to National Chart of Account IPSAS. But look at the rate at which we are implementing our budget. At all levels, it's still not encouraging. So it means, therefore, the aim has not been achieved. The goal is to ensure that the budget is implemented to the letter. And the key contributions of this is what? Standardized coding, budget control, financial accountability, performance monitoring, geographic reporting, and IPSAS compliance. Budget implementation is more than spending money. No. It's not just to allocate 1 million to me and say, go and spend it. No. It ensures that every expenditure is properly authorized, correctly classified, accurately recorded, and transparently reported. Why? To enable users of the accounting information to take various judgments and decisions. And we give them the information from different angles so that they can look at it from multidimensional. It's like you coming to look at your house. You don't just come to look at the front view. You look at the rear view. You look at the other view. You can have a more holistic understanding of the condition of your residence. Because if you stay one side, you may not understand what is happening in another angle. So you look at it from here, you say, let me look at here. You look at here, you come here, then you can say, yes, I have seen this house. And you can tell a lot. Then when you look at it from one perspective, that is the reason why we have 6 perspectives. So I think we'll be rounding off. You can see the budget implementation workflow. Now, what are the challenges? Challenges in the implementation of this include limited technical capacity. Many budget officers, accountants, procurement officers, and program managers require continuous training on the application of the National Chart of Account. For example, we can come to say we are doing training just to look at the administrative segment. Look at them one by one, try to understand how to do the coding. We can even give example and say, let's see how we do the coding on ourselves. Then when we are done, we come and say, let us look at economic segment only. That's the only one we look at. Look at especially the one that Katsina state government has domesticated, the National Chart of Account. And we will take it one by one. We understand how the coding is done. When we are done, we bring another segment. Just like the IFSAs we are saying, when you get training on IFSAs, then we take IFSAs by IFSAs. Let's look at the first one. What are the requirements? How do you implement it? What are examples? Then we look at IFSAs number 2. That is how you understand it, one by one. Because this will only give you a highlight. But the training has to be continuous. Why? Because you move from one level to another. You keep on knowing as you get an idea of the overall. Then you take it one by one and you can have better perspective. Then inadequate ICT infrastructure is also another problem, like my colleague has identified. Then data quality issues. The quality of the data is crucial in the entire process. Then resistance to organizational change. Some of us find it difficult to change. I could remember one of my professors used to tell me that he is BBC. We said, sir, what is BBC? He said, born before computers. And they are not ready to change. He said, we are born before computers. Anything computers, please, this is your own. Go on. He said, I was say, we are BBC. Born before computers. Can you see that? Yes. So if we can't change, resistance to change becomes a problem. Weak coordination among ministries, departments, and agencies. Inadequate monitoring and quality assurance. This is crucial. Frequent policy and institutional changes. What are the key success factors? These are the things we need to do for us to ensure full implementation. 1, management commitment. The management must be committed. Our organs at the top. We, the staff, our competence is crucial. Competence. Quality of the data is important. ICT systems. Compliance and what? Continuous monitoring. Continuous learning. Because it's necessary. Continuous capacity building. You don't stop. You continue. Continuous monitoring. Continuous learning. Continuous capacity building. The recommendations are: 1, we need to strengthen institutional capacity by continuous learning. Like I said, if we do IFSAS, for example, we can take IFSAS by IFSAS. We just learn that of interest that Katsina State is at IFSAS 33. And you know one problem with these IFSAS, before you digest the ones that are on the table, they are releasing more, more IFSAS. So we take it one by one. Sometimes when we come, if we are doing the training for local government staff, we will say the training will be done in Hausa language. No English. Just ask any question you want to ask. Because sometimes people come with a lot of questions. Because you say they must speak in English and they are finding it difficult, they go with their questions unanswered. So we say this is training for local government. It's Hausa throughout, no English. So we just look at the presentation. I'll be explaining in English one by one so that people can easily understand. Now, another issue is digital transformation. We have to strengthen integration of the National Charter of Account with State Integrated Financial Management Information System. Then governance and compliance, as well as performance monitoring. So, in a nutshell, I think I need to conclude so that I don't take more time than necessary. The National Charter of Account, it represents a fundamental pillar of modern public financial management at all the 3 tiers of government in Nigeria. The federal, the state, and local government. Why? Because it enhances transparency, accountability, consistency, and comparability in public financial reporting. For Katsina State, effective application of National Charter of Account can strengthen every stage of the budget cycle, from planning up to audit. More importantly, it enables policymakers as well as other stakeholders to have rich information, robust information for informed judgments and decisions. Mark you as accountant, this is the final end of accounting process, providing information for decision making so that we can make a change, so that we can be able to ensure that the project, program, and activities are impactful. They improve lives of the citizenry. As public financial management continues to evolve, sustained investment in capacity building, a digital financial system and compliance are crucial. Finally, I say that good governance begins with sound financial information. The National Chart of Account provides the common language through which public resources are planned, they are managed, they are monitored, and accounted for in service of the people. Oh, you have been a great audience. I thank you very much for the time. So it's time for questions, inputs. Because you are practitioners, I'm sure you'll have a lot to share.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof, for this insightful and engaging presentation. We are now moving to the interactive session, question and answers. Okay, let's start.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Dr. Bashir Gafe. We have learned from the presentation of Prof regarding the segment of accountability. So there are numbers of accountability, geographical accountability and the rest. But I think looking at the dynamism of this era of this political era, there is need to, okay, I want him to pay. So there is need for political accountability. And in this segment of accountability, where is it appropriate to charge that political accountability? Thank you.
So should we take more? Are you taking notes? So that
If there are more, we can take.
okay.
Assalamu alaikum. I remain Kabir Lawal. Thank you, Prof, for doing justice to this paper. My only observation is, I think on slide 27. But I don't know whether if he can go. Slide 7, yes. Yes. Twenty-seven, yes.
Okay, not 47.
27, yes. Oh, exactly. This major economic classification. So what confuses me is capital expenditure as one classification and the asset as another classification. Thank you.
So, more. Let's see clarification. Observe. Okay.
Excuse me, Professor, thank you for a good presentation. I have one question. My question is that, how can you critically differentiate between the administrative segment and the functional segment classification of national chart of accounts? And what is the challenges that face the two in terms of implementation of project and execution in the government MDS in the state?
Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry, I think I will amplify. It's like his voice is having kata. His question is, how do you differentiate between the administrative and the fund segment? And what are the challenges with respect to implementation of these two segments, isn't it? Okay, so that's the question I had. Okay, I think what I would say is, maybe I can start from him. The differences between administrative. When you say administrative, we say we are looking at the question, who is responsible for spending the money? We are looking at the MDA, the ministry, the department, and the agency under which the expenditure is incurred. But when you look at the function, which service is provided? I gave one example. I say, for example, let's assume a primary health care center was built by the Ministry of Health. This is one scenario. In another scenario, the same primary health care center was built by the Ministry of Works. Administratively, you link the expenditure to each of the ministries. You say Ministry of Health or Ministry of Works. But functionally, it is health service. So it is one. When you are looking at it from the function, what service is government providing? So what are the challenges? The challenges are similar to the ones that I have mentioned. You know, in government, fund accounting is one of the crucial aspects because in public sector, money is kept in funds, like different containers, each for different activity. It's not like in a company where you keep everything in lump sum together. No. Governance is about code and subcode, head and subhead, funding. The money comes from different sources. So also it goes from different specific expenditure. So if you are talking of the challenges, I think the challenges are similar. Really, the challenges are similar. Okay, the second to the last question, the classification, economic classification. Usually in economic classification, you are looking at whether it is revenue. Do you know the revenue will be of different types? Okay, capital. Okay. Capital expenditure and assets. When you are looking at expenditure from expenditure angle, asset from asset, when you are saying assets, it's not then you have incurred it. You have cash. For example, can you call cash an expenditure? For vehicles, can you call vehicles as expenditure? It's expenditure when you're acquiring. The moment you acquire them, they become assets. So we are saying that expenditure is metamorphosing, if you like it in accounting. When you're incurring them, in that year, they're expenses. But if you have acquired them, they become now your assets. So asset, what does that mean? We're saying that what the government has already has in place. Expenses, what is incurred that year. So that's the reason why we have differentiated them, because either it will be revenue or expenditure, or it will be asset or liability. Yes, one can metamorphose, but it's not every expenditure that can metamorphose into asset. Expenditure can be going toward liquidating debt. Yes. That is when what about if the road is still under construction? It needs to be financed over 3 years. It's still work in progress. So when you are budgeting, that is not yet an asset to you. It's a capital expenditure. You keep on budgeting until when you finish it. When you finish, you took over from the contractor. That is when you say this is your asset. So I'm saying, yes, you are right. But then one metamorphose finally into another once it is completed. Is, for example, if that is the case, then you will say on statement of financial position, government does not need to be reflecting the value of assets. So these assets are what the government has already on. They have been completed, but the expenditure is in the process. It may be continuous because capital projects, hardly they finish over a period of 1 year. Now the first question asks political accountability. If you ask me, I would say political accountability is multidimensional. When you put people in position of trust, all this segment is their responsibility. All completely. Although we say government house is falling under administrative segment, and even under administration, but it's the chief accounting officer of the state should be responsible for all as a leader. Every segment is your responsibility. What is political accountability? Being able to deliver on your mandate. Whether you have made promise to the electorate when you have been elected or not, there is what is called social contract between those in position of authority and the electorate that have given you their votes. Whether they tell you what they want or not, traditionally governance is about improving their lives. And whatever you should do, you should be able to do it in such a way that when you come to talk, you see them smiling. Everybody is happy to see you. Yes, so you can see, so political accountability to me is all. Because what is political accountability? To be able to deliver on your mandate. What is the mandate? Improving the lives of the citizens of Katsina State. That is the mandate. And you do it from administrative angle, from the fund angle, from economic. You have to make sure that there is judicious utilization of funds. Because if funds are not judiciously utilized, I think it will be difficult for His Excellency, either at the state or federal or local government. We also have excellencies at local government, the local government chairman, to be able to deliver on their mandate. So to me, all is part of political accountability. Thank you very much, and I thank you for the question.
Thank you, Prof. Any further? Let's see clarification. Let's contribute ideas. You are practitioners, we are academics, so we will learn from one another.
No, we need to have the remaining slides that are not in the workshop compendium. It's not that.
No, the PowerPoint is there. You will get the PowerPoint. There are some few slides I added just to give a summary so that at a glance we can see.
Okay, so
sorry, madam.
Clarification, contribution, that will deepen our understanding of the subject matter. You know?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for the presentation. Actually, the presentation is straightforward and simple for it and everybody to understand. So, my question is concerning the budget cycle. So, as you made mention that the budget cycle are 7. So, my question here is looking at the monitoring and evaluation as a component that contribute in a very effective implementation of each and every project. So, under which cycle can we find monitoring and evaluation among the mentioned cycle stages?
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. I don't know that there's another one. Okay.
Another one?
Okay. Usually, when you look at budget implementation, is aligned with the administrative segment. Because if a ministry is the one handling the expenditure, although the money can come from a fund for the ministry, it can be classified based on economic. The project is going into a particular geographical location, but the ministry, department and agency is primarily concerned for monitoring of that particular expenditure, the budget monitoring, because each ministry has responsibility. But then in addition, you can have ministry like the Ministry of Finance, for example, also guiding ministries and agencies with respect to the release of the funds for project. You know, the fund has to be released to you before you can do project. If the fund is not released to you, how do you spend the money? So you can see again, the Ministry of Finance needs to work hand in hand with other ministries, departments, and agencies to ensure that the fund is released to them and it is spent as it is in the budget. But primarily, the ministry that is handling that particular expenditure should have the primary responsibility of monitoring the implementation, except where the funding is not available. Sometimes there are instances where you hear commissioners, for example, heads of agencies coming out to say, look, they have not released this money to us. Don't charge us because we have not implemented the budget. It's because they have not given us the money. But once you collect the money, then the responsibility of ensuring that that budget is implemented shall go to the ministry. So I strongly feel that it should go to the administrative segment. So thank you very much, and I hope I have answered your question. Thank you.
Okay. Please, let's appreciate Prof. Any other? Okay, let's appreciate Prof once again. We thank you most sincerely, sir, for this insightful presentation. I think I would like to call on the Ministry of Budgets. Okay, we are going to enter into another session, understanding the 2027 budget templates processor, right? Who is the first presenter from the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. My name is Bishir Ba, Budget Officer, Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. I stand to make a presentation on revenue projection submission template, which is Appendix A. You can see this is the revenue projection template. From the top of it, it calls for you to fill in the MDA. That is the ministries you are from, or the department, or the ministry's department or agency. So you put your ministry, department, or agency. Then the second one is organization code. You know, each ministry, department, or agency is attached to a given classification code which is made by IPSAS. So you put your organization code here, and then you continue to fill in these columns. This column is the revenues projection submission template. The first column is code. The first column calls for you to fill in the code, the appropriate code based on the nature of the revenue you are submitting. The second code is the economic, which calls for you to impute the description of the revenue you are presenting. The third column is the 2026 revised budget. And this is in case if the budget is revisited in a given financial year. The fourth column is the 2026 performance, January to June. It calls for you to input for performance January to June because we are having a bilateral discussion by August. So we want the performance from January to June. Then the last column is 2027 proposal. So going back to the code column, that is the first column, you can see there is a tag 1 at it. This is because, you know, IPSAS classifies revenue, expenditure, asset, and liability. So for revenue, it starts with 1. Any kind of revenue starts with 1. Whether it is a tax revenue, it is non-tax revenue, or it is a capital receipt. So anywhere we see 1, meaning that it is a recurrent revenue. 1 a tax revenue, and 1 a non-tax revenue. So you fill this one based on the nature of the revenue you are submitting. If it is a tax revenue, it must start with 1. If it is non-tax revenue, it must start with 1.2. 1.1, not 1.2. 1.1, yes, 1.1. And then you, for a tax revenue, for example, personal income tax, company income tax, payee, all other tax revenue, and for non-tax revenue, revenues like fees, fines, penalties, licenses. These are what you are to submit under this code. You are to fill it based on the nature of the revenue you are submitting. If it is a tax revenue, it must start with 1.1. If it is non-tax revenue, it must start with 12. Likewise, if it is a capital receipt, 13, grant 14. The sequence goes like this. So this is for this column code, which calls for you to put based on the nature of the revenue you are submitting. Then the second column, economic description. This describes the revenue. This describes the code you have just inputted in the code column. For example, if you put 110101, we know that it is a tax revenue, or let's say it is FAE. If it is corporate income tax, then you put 1010102. This is how the sequence will continue. So in this economic description, if you put, for example, 110101, then you said, for example, corporate income tax. It all depends on the nature of the revenue you are submitting. Then the third column, that is 2026 revised budget. We call it revised budget because it is in case if the budget is revisited in a given financial year. So if the budget is not revisited, or if it is revisited and it does not concern your MDA, or your MDA is not affected, then you put your approved budget here. We put it in case if the budget is revisited. If it is not revisited, then you put it based on the approved budget. So you put, for example, if for corporate income tax or FAE, you put, for example, FAE, then what is the approved budget in 2026, or what is the revised budget in 2026? This is what this column calls for. Then the next column, column 4, 2026 performance January to June. We set it January to June because we are having a bilateral discussion by August. So we put this one based on the accessibility of data, but based on the data we might get. So this is what you put for any given code. For any given code you are submitting, then you put its performance from January to June. This is what you put in this 2026 performance January to June column. Then the next column and the last column is 2027 proposal. That is what you are projecting in the 2027 financial year. What you will likely get in the 2027 financial year. So this is in brief what this revenue projection template is calling for you to fill in. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Umar Haruna from Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. Let me speak into my vernacular. Dalla wannan form ne zan gyara. Kamar yadda muka saba na wajen budget preparation, na yadda ake hidda establishment form, na harko personal cost estimate submission template, appendix B, akwai MDA, Ministerial Departmental Agency, kowa zai gani ga wannan hard copy inda aka sharing. Sai organization code, sai sub-organization code, sai sub-organization code. Kama administrative code na ita ministry, like wanda aka showing previous kama Ministry of Health, ko in ce kama in ce AG office. Administrative code in shi yana farawa 022 00 ko kama yanda aka ce guda 12 ne. Administrative code guda 12 ne administrative code. Shine kama AG office, Office of the Accountant General 022 000 100 100. Say Office of the Accountant General. Say based on the establishment template, we have classification code. We have salary GL. shine GL grade level 1 to 6. Number of staff 2026 based on current, say 2026 approved budget. Say number of staff ɗinka na 2027. To based on duk wanda zai ta retirement, kamar wanda by end of this year, December, zai tahi. To ba za ka yi computing ɗin shi ba cikin abin na establishment template ɗinka. Kuma yaya ake working na wannan establishment template is very simple. Firstly, idan ka je abin na establishment kamar payroll system, na san da dama duka kowa yana da access na payroll ɗin shi. To payroll ɗinka farko shi zai baka current based on actual stuff existing wanda ake making payment by not based on staff list. Saboda staff list maiwa ina budget department, ina ministry of budget, amma albashi na government house. Kun fahimce ni? To bai dace kai wanda yake government house ba kuma ka ɗauko shi ka ƙara yaɓa shi cikin ministry of budget. Din da ka yi duplicate ne, can government house ana ba shi albashi, kuma ka zo nan still ka ƙara saboda yana cikin staff list ɗinka. Kawai sai ka ɗauko based on staff list ɗinka sai kawai kai computing albashin shi a ministry of budget. Kun fahimce ni? To based on existing wa'inda ake biya albashi suna receiving alert daga Ministry of Budget ko daga Government House. To idan ka diba based on staff list ɗinka, akwai grade level, akwai staff, ko ba haka ba? To na farko idan zan yi computing na salary na GLO1, farko za ka diba GLO1 nawa ke gare ka. Based on pay slip ɗinka, wanda kowa yana da access da shi, wanda AG duka ya yi providing ga all DFS, ko ba haka ba? To idan ka yi assisting ɗin shi, za ka diba wane ne cikin GLO1 ya ƙura step. Less GLO1 yana step 6. Shine highest ƙurewa na level na step ɗin shi. Sai kai computing wannan meye monthly gross ɗin shi. Shine kana ɗoka before a ɗeba wa'innan taxes ɗin da ake yi wa mutum. Ko? Tax abin nan before deduction. Shine ake cewa monthly gross. Ko ba haka ba? Tsuran albashin mutum. Albashin mutum before a yi wannan deduction ɗin, a ɗeba wa mutum kuɗin rentin ko kuɗin ya suke da suna, ko kuɗin loan na vehicle ko kuɗin loan na abu ya yake da suna na kacima. Ko ba haka ba? To wannan tsuran shi za ka ɗoka sai kai times 12. Sai ka buga shi times 12. Idan ka buga shi times 12 sai kai plus 5%. 5% shall in case for increment. Me yiwa ya in za ta iya kasancewa yana GLO6 kuma zai ta yi GLO7. Kaga wannan 5% ɗin nan za ta yi kwabarin promotion ɗin shi. Kun fahimce ni? To da zaran ka lissafa GLO1 kana da mutum 5. Less a ce ana biyan su 50,050. Kun fahimce ni? Shine mu ɗoka as shine monthly gross ɗin shi. To wannan monthly gross ɗin shi sai kai times 12. Kun fahimce ni? Za ni buga shi in ce to wannan 50,000 a tara ta, ko in ce ɗaya a tara ta so 12. Kun fahimce ni? Nawa zai bada? Zai bada naira 12 na full ya kenan. Kun ga January, February, March, April up to December. Sai kai times 5% ɗinka shall in case yearly increment or promotion. Kun fahimce ni? To na farko daga nan wajen staff abin nan number of staff ɗinka na abin nan 2026 sai kai computing ɗin shi sai ka sanya GLO1 kana da mutum 6 based on 2026 proposal ɗinka. Kun fahimce ni? Kun fahimce ni? Sai kuma number of staff ɗinka ba zai zama equally ba with 2026 sai dai in wasu ba su yi retirement ba ko mutuwa haka, ko ba haka ba. Saboda wani za ku ga mewa ending in yana da mutum 10 GLO1. To amma ƙarshen shekara sai ta kasance yana da mutum 2 sun yi ritaya. Kun ga sauran mutum nawa? Kuna tare da ni ne? Sura mutum nawa? Mutum 8. To kun ganin a 2027 number of staff ɗin shi zai canza. Instead na 2026 based on approved budget number of staff ɗinka zai koma kana da mutum 10 based on approved ɗinka. Well kuma ga proposal ɗinka ya nuna ma an samu decrease. An samu decrease na mutum 2 due to retirement. Kun fahimce ni? To nan kuma wajen proposal ɗinsu shine na ce muku za ku ɗau basis abin da monthly gross in kowane each person. Kamar yadda na ce unless ana biyan ka naira ɗaya kowane wata shine before deduction kafin a ɗebe ma duk wasu tax ɗin da za a yi. To sai ka tara shi times number na watannin da muke da su tun daga watan Janairu har zuwa watan abin nan Disamba. Kun ga wata 12 kenan. Sai ka zo ka yi times number na wannan 5% inda aka ce za a ƙara. Kun fahimce ni? To da ka buga za ka ga exact za ka ga ceiling in an baka ceiling dama ba a son kai above the ceiling. Ka wuce wannan ceiling unless an bani 50,000. Ceiling ina na zoholiya na salary. To ba a son kai above na wannan 50,000 ɗin. Ko dai kai kan 50,000 ɗin ko kuma ya zamana 49,000 da wani abu ko kuma baka ma kai ka kai 40,000. Kun fahimce ni? Kun ga za ku ga lalle in dai haka ba kai computing wa'innan normal based on pay slip in kowane each individual na employee. Za ku ga zai baka exact based on ceiling ɗinka. Za ka ga ba za ka yi above ceiling ɗinka ba. Kun fahimce ni? Za ku ga mutum yana within the ceiling. Bismillah. Duka ai amfanin adin 5% kenan. 5% za ta yi kwabarin shi ai tuni na gaya muku dama. Na ce 5% shall in case yearly increment ko promotion duka za ta yi kwabarin wa'innan. To sai secondly su dama consolidated salary kama albashin commissioner ko commission duka wannan albashinsu is constant. Ko ba haka ba? Bai canzawa. Ko ba haka ba? Za ka ga allowances ɗinsu ga salary ɗinsu da kayi computing zai baka exact figure. Za ku ga separate yake, za ka hiddo salary ɗinsu gashi na this year. Sai kai times 12 na wannan times 12 za ka ga zai baka exact amount. Wajen allowances ɗinsu shi ma kana bugawa times 12 zai baka exact amount, kana tarawa zai baka miliyan 4 da wani abu. Ko ba haka ba? Da dama na san duk mun yi a crossing irin wayannan. Sai secondly akwai total of GL 01 to 6. Kamar 2027 number of staff ina da mutum 10 tun daga GL 01 to 6 ina da mutum 15. Due to retirement kama aka samu na wajen GL 01 suna mutum 10 sai koma mutum 8. Kun ganin zai koma subtotal ɗinka GL 01 daga level na 1 zuwa na shidda, a tara a ce ɗaya, biyu, uku, hudu, biyar har zuwa shidda. To idan ka tara number in of staff ɗinka, za ka ga bambancin variance ɗin da this abin nan last year, za ka ga last year kana da mutum 15 from GL 01 to 06. Well, proposal ɗinka na 2027 kana da mutum 13. Kamar yadda na ce muku dutar retirement na wa'innan GL 01. Kun fahimce ni mutum biyu da suka yi ritaya. To shine sai ka subtotal ɗinsu ga nan idan ka tara number of staff ɗinka. Shi ma nan idan ka zo wajen proposal ɗinka na 2027 za ka tara each computing inda kai na kowane salary tun daga GL01 up to 17 in kana da shi. Sai ka zo ka sauke tun daga GL01 to 06 sai ka tara number salary insa nawa ne. Sai ka tara subtotal ɗin. Kamar yadda ya ba daga nan total GL06. Kamar 7 to 12. Shi ma haka za ka sauke total number na staff ɗinka based on existing ɗinka na payroll ɗinka. Sai total proposal ɗinka shi ma GL 07 to 12 shi ne zai baka total kamar in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to da ka tara su za ka sauke 5 ɗin nan cikin wannan column ɗin setin na total GL 07 to 12. Sai kuma GL 13 to 16 shi ma haka less a ce kana da mutum ɗaya 13 kana da mutum ɗaya 14 kana da mutum ɗaya 15 kana da mutum ɗaya 16 kana da mutum ɗaya to da ka tara su zai baka mutum 4 namba na ma'aikatanka based on existing payroll ɗinka wanda ka bi kai working. Na ce muku shi ma'aikaci ana ɗoka kamar mu ma'aikata ana ɗoka albashin shi tsuran abin nan albashin gabaki ɗayan shi kafin a ɗebe dun wasu haraji. Kun fahimce ni? Kafin a ɗebe dun wasu haraji to da shi ne za ka yi shi ne kafin a yi deduction ɗin. Ba wanda an yi deduction ɗin za ka ɗoka ba. Saboda idan ka hidda an yi deduction ɗin kai making proposal ɗinka to kila ina ji daga cikin ajihun mutum zai cika shi. Kun fahimce ni? Shi kafin a yi wannan deduction shi ne ake cewa monthly gross. Monthly gross shi ne before deduction. Sai ka tara number of staff ɗinka tun daga GL01 ba matsala. Sai GL01 to zuwa 16. Sai commissioner kana da permanent secretary. Su ma nan sai kai takin ɗinsu za ka nuna indicating commissioner ɗaya. Assalamu alaikum. Da Allah ana neman Suleiman Gidaɗo a nan waje da Allah in ya ji sai ya fita. Sai salary kamar commissioner na ce muku shi yana da salary structure in shi in kuwa diba sai kai times 12 shi ma zai baka exact shi ba sai kayi adin 5% ba shi is fix ko ba haka ba. Sai kuma shi ma salary the same thing yanda kai computing na permanent abin nan secretary salary za ka yi times 12 in shi zai baka exact shi ma ba sai kayi computing 5% in nan ba. Sai kuma allowances in shi to da ka hidda allowances in shi ka tara times 12 zai baka exact. Sai ka tara allowances in shi da salary in shi shine zai baka exact abin da ake bashi na full year albashin da yake ɗauka a shekara kenan na cikin wata 1, 2 har zuwa watan Disamba. Kun fahimce ni, Dakta? To Allah sa na sani. Na shi ma dinda based on, ai shi yasa muka ce kowa ya yi based on slip ɗin shi. Shi kowane slip ɗin da ake biya wanda kuke assistant ga AG office, tunda din ya ba ku after salary kowa yana assistant payroll ɗin shi. Ina da mutum 10, ina biyan su 200,000. Kun fahimce ni? Ga total abin da kake biya, kuma in ka bi details ɗin kowane ɗaya zaka ga abin da yake ɗoka a kowane month. Akwai deduction, after deduction, akwai kuma before deduction. Kun fahimce ni? Akwai albashin tsura, ko ba haka ba? Akwai kuma albashin bayan an ɗaɗɗeba duka waɗannan abubuwa. Sai, wa alaikum salam. Ai shi ne na baku misali. Kamar na ce mutum ne zai aje aiki Disamba. Ka gano need kai computing in shi as ya kaɗo kai zuwa 2027 zai aje wannan shekarai. Ka gano ka samu ragi cikin staff ɗinka. Shi ne har na baka ne muku ishara na ce kamar shi ceiling, based on ceiling da ake baka. Shi ceiling ana baka shi ne don ka samu basics. Ko ba haka ba? Guide ne zai baka. Yanda ba za ka wuce wannan silin inda aka baka ba. Shi ne na ce, kamar an bani Naira 5 ne, to ba a son in wuce Naira 5 in kai Naira 60. Ko ba haka ba? Kun ga da na kai Naira 60 na yi above the ceiling. Idan kuma na tsaya kan Naira 50 ina nan within the ceiling. Ko kuma below the ceiling, shi ma dalili ne ai. Ina da number of staff mutum 10, sai mutum 4 suka yi ritaya. Kun fahimce ni? To kun ga dole za a ga ya ragu. Based on wannan albashin da muka yi takin na June aka yi formulations ɗin, kun ga za ka ga ba za ka cinye wannan Naira 50 ɗin ba. To, sai secondly, sai overhead expenditure estimate submission. Idan muka diba wajen wannan overhead ɗin, na farko based on establishment ɗinka da kai working, ko ba haka ba? Based on establishment ɗinka da kai working, to ya zamana wajen wannan overhead expenditure estimate submission template ɗin nan, ya zamana abin da kai computing wajen template ɗinka na establishment, exact grand total ɗin da ka tara na subtotal ɗin nan, ya baka total, shi ya dace ka ɗauko wajen salary ɗinka ka sanya, da kuma wajen wages of ad hoc ɗinka ka sanya revise ɗinka, sai kuma performance ɗinka January to June, sai kuma shi ma na ad hoc ɗin sai kai making proposal ɗinka na 2027. Shi an ce mutum ba zai wani ƙari ba, in kana za ka yi ƙari ya zamana kana da HE approval. An fahimta? Ba mai tambaya? Eh? To, bismillah. Malam Ibrahim.
Okay. Yawa, na ji lokacin da kake presentation ka ce idan za a yi arriving at a proposed amount na 2027, kana ta mentioning cewa za a yi multiply by 12, multiply by 12, multiply by 12. So tambaya biyu gare ni. Na farko shi wannan establishment form din, tunda kowane ministry za su kawo budget proposal kowace shekara. Wanne department ne suke da haƙƙin su yi wannan establishment form din su cike shi kafin a kawo shi wajen ku? Tambaya ta biyu shine, kana cewa ana multiply by 12. So idan ina da staff guda 3 yan grade level 3 misali, ina da staff guda 3, amma 2 retirement nasu zai fara February 2027. So idan na multiply by 12, abu biyu zai faru. Zan kasance na yi overestimated a proposal. Sannan abu na biyu zai yi affecting performance ina a personal cost. Duk lokacin zan zo misali zan yi proposal miliyan 1. Kilan saboda February kawai za su yi retirement, kilan abin da zan iya kashewa zan tai da staff 1, kilan zai bai wuce in kashe 200,000 ba. Kaga ba laifi na bane, amma dole performance ina zai nuna cewa ga kuɗi sun tafi ga banza. So ya zamu magance wannan matsalai? Ban san ko ka fahimci abin da nake magana ba.
Dan karame me ta ƙarshe.
Ina da staff guda 3, yan grade level 1, bari mu tsaya can. Staff guda 3 gare ni grade level 1. Amma 2 daga cikin su retirement nasu zai fara February 2027. Idan ne multiply by 12 kudin su daga February ba sun gama aiki, amma kudin su na can ba allocating nasu a wani ministry ba allocating nasu a wani wuri inda za a dauki ma'aikata ba, amma kudin na can wajen za su zama wasu. Shine nace idan nazo zan yi presenting performance ina a wannan shekarai dole ne sai an ga cewa na yi proposal na miliyan 1, amma kilan 100,000 kadai zan kashe, kuma ban da wani alternative. Na da proposal ga su can wajen zai affecting performance ina. Tambaya ta shine anan still zan yi provision na 12 duk da na san cewa February za su yi resignation.
Ai abin da na ce ma, kamar kana nihin daga wannan shekarar, les mu ɗauka wannan shekarar jira.
February 2027 za su resign, amma na yi multiply salary ɗinsu. Kaga na wata 2 kaɗai suke nema a wannan shekarai. Shine tambaya ta.
To in dai za ka yi computing based on exact month ɗin da za su ta yi, za ka yi takin wannan na wata 4 kawai za ka yi takin.
Okay, so sai tambaya ta farko.
Yawwa.
Sai tambaya ta farko.
Sai tambayar farko na establishment template kake cewa ko? To based on establishment template kowa ya san establishment ita ke da hurumin wannan. Tunda akwai budget, establishment suke da hurumin wannan. Tunda kowa ya sani ana littafi 2 na budget. Na farko establishment za ta bada number of staff ɗinta. Ko ba haka ba? Shine ake cewa establishment, wannan budget ɗinsu ne wanda za su ba da kowace ministry tana da kaso kaza na ma'aikata. To amma yanzu sai ka ga kowace ma'aikata ai kaga based on pay role ɗinta take working, kuma za ta yi arabin based on muka wannan kamar guide ne. Instant ka sanya abu kai baka san iyakan ma'aikatanka ba wanda kake biya. Shi wannan kamar guide ne, ina da ma'aikata abin nan 10, to amma 2 sun yi ritaya, wanda ni nike biyan sa albashi cikin asusun ma'aikatata. Kun fahimce ni? Ka fahimci magana? Yawa.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Sunana Musa Luranu.
Yeah?
Daga Misra Bajala ne kanin fulani.
To,
observation ne gare ni guda ɗaya. Observation ne gare ni guda ɗaya. A can wajen category ɗin nan inda ka sa grade level 13 to 16. So akwai waɗanda ka da suna wucewa har zuwa grade level 17. Kaman State Council, Veterinaries Officers, da kuma makamantansu. Suna kai har mataki na 17. Amma a form ɗin naga ka tsaya mataki na 16.
To,
me ya
based
kamata
on wannan mu kamar guide ne wannan. Assalamu alaikum. Wannan form ɗin da ake badawa kamar guide ne. Duk wanda yake working under Commission House of Assembly su sun san wannan. Na farko in kana da 17 za ka ƙara. Kamar Agarik na san suna da veterinary doctors suna kaiwa har 17. Kuma na tabbata in suna wannan computing na establishment wannan template ɗin suna kai shi har 17. GL 13 to 17. Kun fahimce ni? Saboda mun ɗauki massive wa'inda majority muna tsaya, majority MDS mu suna tsayawa ne daga 16. Sai kuma in kana da 17 sai kai adin. Fine. Assalamu alaikum. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. To.
Kamar wurin wannan daga honorable commissioner din nan zuwa permanent secretary allowances. To what of SA? Idan kuna da
SA shi ma yana da albashin shi in ka riba pay slip ɗin shi. Ai mu nan kamar guide ne, ai sai aka baka kamar permanent secretary da chairman na abin nan mun baka ne kamar guide ne wannan. In kana da SA instead of commissioner sai ka sanya SA. sai ka sanya permanent secretary. To subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Allah ya amfanar da mu abin da muka fahimta.
To masha Allah. Da Allah template nan da aka rarraba kowa zai tafi da shi zuwa gobe muna buƙatar a yi filin nasa in za a zo next session tomorrow sai a zo da shi don a yi assessment din yin level of irin compliance na shi templates din. Idan kuma Allah kai mu gobe za mu ci gaba da aza templates din don akwai yes don mu ga yanayin compliance akan templates din. Akwai kuma aza templates da suke a waɗanda ba da displaying ba idan Allah kai mu gobe za a yi displaying din su ma za a yi bayanin su insha Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatu. Da Allah wasu suna yawan tambaya cewa game da performance ɗin daga yaushe zuwa yaushe ne. In an lura cewa a cikin course circular ɗinmu mun ce July, amma da Allah gyara ne.